Welcome to the Breach to Freedom edition of the blind spot, a topic that we might have to bring to you in more than one segment. And most importantly, we will discuss this in our Breach to Freedom Facebook group. Thank you for joining once again. We meet every Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 11:30. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for showing up and always being there, giving us feedback and what you would like to see. I personally do not take this for granted because I know everybody's time is very valuable. Even when you can't join us live, you go back and you watch and we get your feedback. But this morning and this evening, this day, wherever you're watching from or whenever you would watch it, I want to say thank you to you and to let you know that the blind spot is a metaphor for life. And finding your focus in the midst of flaws and distractions is going to be very pivotal. As individuals, we set expectations for ourselves, and the world sets expectations for us. But most importantly, the blind spot metaphor for life is we all have flaws. I mean, nobody is perfect. And I don't believe that anybody will be perfect. We all have our imperfections. We all have things that we strive for that we don't show up as much as we want to. But that does not mean that that's the end of it. It might just mean that for that moment, you need to rethink and re strategize. And that's why the Bridge to Freedom group is very important. This is somewhere where you can grow, come as you are. This is somewhere you can bring others to come as they are, whether you're a professional or somebody looking to be a startup business. You are definitely going to get benefit from our group. Flaws are most of the time magnified, and those flaws, when they're magnified, it makes us feel that we have not done as well, especially when we are with a group or when someone has certain expectations that they want us to fit in. Guess what? You are the best person who can set your own expectation because you know your limitation, you know what you're carrying. A lot of times we don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, but we do have a picture in mind. We do know that there are things that we need to do. So as long as you are gravitating towards making progress, you ought to feel good about yourself. You ought to not let that blind spot that someone is trying to magnify reduce who you think of yourself, knowing that nobody is perfect. That individual might know more in that particular setting than you because they've done it over and over. I always jokingly say something when I'm talking to people that I coach, and I say, you know what? I have never been medically inclined. I would never be someone that's so super smart in the area of medicine. That's not my area. But when it comes to finance, when it comes to financial literacy, things of that, I'm passionate about it. So I will do anything extra to get it done. But when I'm in the field, in the league of those who know that medical field, I have to humble myself and understand that that is not my lane. So sometimes your blind spot is just not your area of strength at that moment. But that moment does not mean you can't change it. Same token, I had a friend, we started in banking together, decided that she wanted to divert into medicine because she wanted to have more of a flexibility in her career choice so that she could walk in the evening, be home more with the kids. So sometimes even your blind spot, what you think is limiting to you, you could make up your mind and say, you know what, I want to handle it this way. But what this metaphor of blind spot stands for is bigger than just us feeling that, oh, this is the end of it. It's never an end. Knowing that whoever you're admiring, whoever you are thinking that they are doing it big, they also went through a process. They are also going through a process. And because they are going through a process, it really means that there's never a perfect I know it all time. There's always going to be one area that you need improvement, but you got to pay attention to your own imperfection. Having said that, you would know what your imperfections are. I know at a younger age, in my younger life, I did not like to speak. I think I've shared that before. And anytime I had to come up to have a conversation or to present, that was so, I was very worried and afraid. And I realized that that would limit the journey that I was about to embark on in corporate America. But it took me knowing that this is my area of imperfection, that I need help to be able to find my voice and to be confident enough to speak my mind and speak it in an articulate way where people can understand. It doesn't mean that I'm perfect, but at least that fear has dwindled. I don't have to worry about, oh, what am I going to say? When am I going to say it? It's just more of, okay, let me say it as it is now. Let me get those who I have seen say it in a better way of communication so I can learn from them. It doesn't mean that I still won't get myself ready for the content, because the content part is important. Those content come as a result of those blind spots too, those blind spots that you go through that doesn't give you the segue that you want, will help you wake up and say, you know what? When you finally see the outcome, you think back and go and say, wow, I could have done this, I could have done that, I could have done this. All of those things that you could have done, should have done, will come to you. Take it as feedback moment. Even if you are lucky enough to have people who will give you constructive feedback, take it as a learning moment. Never take it as a dooming moment. Never take it as a moment whereby you're going to feel like, oh, it's the end of the world, or maybe I'm this. But like I said, if you're that person who always feel like you have to fit in and belong and always please everybody, and think that if feedback are given, that means that you're less, you need to join the Bridge to Freedom group. You need to join the group so that you can learn from others. You surely can learn from others who have been there, done it, and who can be true and be authentic in their narration. And the screen is showing the join the Bridge to Freedom. You can join that. It's free. We're taking the first 200 people. And once we're 200, of course, we're doing our coachings on Thursdays. Once we're 200, we're going to halt it at 200. And there's other speakers, other leaders, thought leaders who will be part of this, because this is a movement. It's not just a program that you're there as a status quo. No, it's a movement of impact, a movement of breaking that unconscious biases that we bring to ourselves, where the world also add to it. We already thinking, okay, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this. All of those things are important, but you can only be one thing at a time. And once you find out what those imperfections are, then you're going to move and see how to make it work better, so you can get closer to that individual that you want to see yourself. It still doesn't mean you're perfect. I'm still yet to see any human being that has that perfect, so super perfect moment that they can say, yes, I've arrived. No, that would never be a time for such. So don't worry about where you are right now. Don't worry about what you need to do and what you didn't do and all that. You need to be around a group of people who take that light that is already in you. You're carrying a light, a particular light that is beaming for the world to see, but it's beaming inside of you. Because it's beaming inside of you, you're letting the blind spot, you're letting it overweigh you, you're letting it overshadow you, and you're worrying more about what you can't control. But guess what? You got so many things that you're controlling already, because there are other people watching and saying they want to be in the space you're in, but you're still there wondering, when can you be better? Of course, grind to be better, but stop and validate and pat yourself on the back to appreciate where you are at that moment, at this moment that you're in this situation whereby you have a few blind spots. Check out yourself. How are you investing your time? Nobody can add a minute to any of the 24 hours we all have all over the world. Nobody. But what do you do with that time? Do a test for yourself. See when you wake up. See what do you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. What are those things? Set the timing. Is it 5 minutes? You wake up, you do your meditation, you do your exercise, you do this and that. Go ahead and look at those things that you invest your time in, and see what are those activities and who are those people that come into your space on a daily basis. Because these are things that you're going to need to look at yourself to see how to make those blind spots, finding your focus in the midst of flaws. Guys, flaws are plenty. Those who are not even in a position to know how to start something, they will be the first who can give you feedback. It's okay, take that feedback. That feedback is very necessary, is very essential, but don't take it and feel down. Always know that you have done one step forward of being able to start that thing, whatever that thing is. And the fact that people are giving you feedback is what makes you better. That's what makes us grow and be better. I'm expecting to get feedback from all of you as you begin to watch and follow us and hear us. I want to hear what is on your mind. What can we do better? Say it in a very constructive way. Say it in a way that people can act on it. Feedback is what makes people better. So if you're out there and you're in the midst of people who just have nothing but criticisms and they can't give you an offer of what you can do better, then you need to join the Bridge to Freedom group, because that's what we do best, being able to come together as people to share our successes, to share our challenges, because we do have challenges and we've had challenges, and challenges will never go away. But we don't take it as a way to think, oh, it's the end of the world. Yeah, right. No, it's never the end of the world, because there's no one person in the world that would say that, oh, they have it like that. No, I have had the privilege of serving in so many capacities. And the more you serve, the better you are going to be able to embrace what life is all about. Because sometimes your service will get you behind the scene to see those who will be on the scene and see how they're just a regular human being like you and I. They just spend their time maybe a little better, or some days not. So, but the bottom line is that the blind spot is a metaphor for life that tells you that the flaws and the distractions and the distractors are part of the process. All of those people are needed for you to be able to stay focused, to stay grounded, to be able to be that original individual so that you don't have to worry. If someone sets a yardstick, a milestone for you in their own space, and you know that milestone is not, you have a missing spot to get to that milestone. You need to step back and find out what can you do differently to get over that hurdle. For me, it was speaking in corporate America. I didn't like to speak in the public, and I was a leader who was rising very fast in corporate America, rose to vice president in my officer stage and assistant vice president and all of that. I'm constantly called to be able to speak, at least for the bare minimum, to my team. And I knew that was a problem. And I knew that my focus was going to that vice president. And for that role, I'm sure there will be more need to talk. So I had to quickly find out and assess that imperfection. It wasn't that I couldn't open my mouth and talk. I just have the fear of speaking. I do my work. I did the best work anybody could ask for. But you've got to get beyond just the work. There's that you that the world is waiting for, and that you can only be presented by you in your own words, as written by you. It cannot be somebody setting the yardstick. The yardsticks are good. Even when we work in corporations or we work with people, they set their guidelines, they set their expectations. And of course, the milestones of where you get to when these expectations are done is going to be up to how you invest your time. How do you begin to do what you need to do to get you close to that finish line? Flaws that are magnified, again, sometimes is another way to make you feel less than you are at that moment. A flaw is a flaw. You magnifying it doesn't make it any, it doesn't make it go away, it doesn't make it better. So if there's already a flaw, that individual also have accepted it. Don't magnify it. Find a way to make it work so that together this flaw can be corrected, to be corrected for the use of the bigger group. That is what is needed in this life, whereby happiness and laughter, enjoyment, and just smiles is a way of life. There are people who would never see or run into any kind-hearted person. Why don't you be that individual? Because as you be that, your heart, your own health too will be right. I have a friend who is so big on happiness and smiles and so forth. And when you begin to practice that and see that, you understand that, you know what? There is true need for happiness, because you can only give what you have. If you don't have it, you can't give it. If you have it, you will give it. But how can you give what you don't have? The way to do that is to practice seeing what is that thing that you want to give. And happiness is very important. You hear us talking about that. Happiness doesn't mean you have everything that you want, that you need, but it means that that is your mode of life. So you're going to also carry that as a touch to others. So the blind spot, the finding of your focus has to be laser clear. And you have to be laser focused to ensure that every day, every minute, you're moving closer to that expected goal that you have set for yourself. And those goals will not be stationary, they will always expand. If your goals are like mine, there's always that one more thing being added. But what I'm finding out that all of those things are a sum total of the expected destination and the expected end. It might look like it's in various segments, but if you're that individual that you want to be in a cohesive place where people can see that you are carrying that light, you're carrying that touch. You do not need to dim your light, guys. Absolutely not. You do not need to dim your light even when you are in those blind spot situations, when you are in the midst of those who all they see is the flaws, is all that you could have done better and nothing good comes out. It's okay. You just need to show them there are other ways that you're going to get to that result, and they will be there to celebrate you. Your life might be the one that they would use to know that, yes, you can still get it right. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to backbite. You don't have to talk behind. Just do the work and help each other. If you don't feel like helping, step out of the way. Don't use your mouth to run other people down by dwelling on what their blind spot is, because everybody has their own blind spot. Everybody has something that they're carrying, that they're wishing. And if the truth be told, at one point, whether at the beginning of your career or now or in the middle of your career or in your life, there would have been a situation that you thought that you could never get out of that was so not too pretty, but you got it, you got out anyway. There's a way you did it. Same way you did it before, you can do it again. You just need to be around people who can remind you of all of those things that it's been done before. And that's what I do. I check myself and I evaluate what went well before. How did I do this? A, B, C, D. And once you can sit back and count all of your blessings and name them one by one, you know that this other thing that's coming about to be added to the bucket of the blessings is not going to be impossible. It just will take time. It will take time. It will take you being able to know how to immune yourself, even when you are in a setting with those who magnify the flaws, who try to set up expectations that are way beyond reach immediately, and they're not in a position to guide you. I was talking to one of my mentors the other day, and she said to me, she said, you know what, at this point, we appreciate the mentorship and we appreciate all the doors that have been opened up. We want to also get to a level that we can say that we have people in the room who would mention our name. And that hit me like a rock. And that's always my philosophy. Who is that mentioning your name on the at that decision table? How are you leaving that impression when somebody hits you with a blind spot experience where maybe they make you feel a little less off and you feel angry? How do you wear that? Because you might never have an opportunity to redeem yourself from that individual, and that individual might be in a position to be the one who would be advocating to you for you at the table. And when she said that, I'm like, wow, that's deep. That's the level we want to get to. Yes, you can have all this mentorship, you can have all this knowledge. You've got to have platform. That's exactly what you said. You've got to have intentional platforms that are created so that even though we have blind spots, those blind spots can be worked on so that we are a package that can be presented for opportunities. And I said, you've got it. That is exactly what Bridge to Freedom platform. That's what we do. That is our goal, to ensure that all of us, we know that everyone carries a light inside of them. If you if you were following what the former First Lady of the United States, Michelle Obama, was saying about her new book, everybody, whether you're young or old, until that light comes out of you, it's going to be difficult. But before those lights come out, You gotta know how do you handle the blind spot? How do you handle those situations? Because those blind spots are just for a moment. And when you work it, you're going to get to an end result. You're also going to have a shoulder that's big enough for others to lean on. When you're dealing with your blind spot experience, focus is very critical. If you don't remember anything I've said for the past few minutes, definitely you have to stay focused. You have to be laser focused in the midst of these floors and the distractions, because boy, and there are distractions. There are so many. Some of those distractions are caused by you and I. No finger pointing. Let's take ownership. Some of those distractions, they are you and I, because we're in so many things and we don't have a set expectation of what we want to get out. So we're just going here and there and everywhere, and we get overwhelmed. So when somebody hits us with the flaws or distractions, we take it personal. Yes, some flaws and some finger pointing are hurtful, but you've got to learn to take it so that you take it as constructive feedback, and then you see how to work on it. And not all of them are so pleasantly presented that you might not be able to know that they mean well, because some people just don't know how to say things correctly in a kind-hearted way. That's a coaching moment. Join Bridge to Freedom. We all can say things just by you guiding yourself and saying, I want to do to you the way what I want to be done to me. If we use that model, we will be fair, and all the time we will carry an element of happiness and cheers to others, because there's nobody, guys, that has it like that. Nobody has a perfect life. Nobody, even those who we're trying to be like when we grow up, who are rich, who are famous, all of this, all of us have the potential for all of the things we see that we want to be. We just have to stop and build a system. We have to stop and build a community and be part of a community like the Bridge to Freedom community, where you can bring your thoughts, your concerns and your feedback, and see how together you have this community of people who now you can build with. That is exactly what we are about with the Bridge to Freedom. We're going to be around. It's a program, and it's a driven program with intentionality. We're not just adding another program to your plate, but we are making it results oriented. It's a results oriented engagement where we are going to continually talk to each other, work with each other, leverage each other's network so that we can build a better ecosystem in the different types of industries that are part of our group. We have some people who are in the technology space, finance space, business space, and more spaces that we don't even that we're uncovering day by day. So all of these we are building together. Yes, it's been initiated through my leadership, but it is for all of us. It's a community where we can build together and make sure that however we build, we can replicate it. We can replicate it so that others can learn from it, so that those who have the blind spot and also find it that maybe their flaws is an impediment. No, it is not an impediment. Your flaws, my flaws, are part of the process. They're part of the game. That's the name of the game. That's how you're going to be stronger and better. And that's how all the people who maybe might be going through the same experience can see you as that ray of light, that yes, if Remy can do it, if Debbie can do it, if this person can do it, I can do it. So how do you do it? Come to Bridge to Freedom. Join us. We're going to share how we've gotten things done. The few minutes I have left will not permit me. This topic is something that we're going to dive into more in our group, because there's so many pointers that I can't even get close to right now. But that's why when you're part of the group, you're there to be able to enjoy more of coaching, one-to-one, one-to-many, conversation, discussions, things that would just help each and every one of us to take our businesses to that next level, to take our career to that next level. And what's unique is the group of people here under my leadership, they are seasoned leaders. They're people who have done it. We're not telling you what we did because we went through a certification for 6 weeks. We're telling you what we went through live, direct, in corporate settings, in entrepreneurship life, in a public service. All of these are live people that you can feel and touch. So I invite you to join the Bridge to Freedom. The link is scrolling. You have also the interest session. If you're interested, there's a 15-minute opportunity for us to chat. But I say join that group. It doesn't cost you anything to be part of that group. On Thursdays, we will have a coaching moment. That's for 30 minutes. We're going to be together in a coaching group, talking about whatever you want to talk about, sharing things that have worked, sharing testimonials from those who are part of the group, and asking what can we do better to help us to be that brand. The goal is to make us all brand ambassadors for our own brand, not brand ambassador for me. Is brand ambassador for you. How do you make your business better? How do you make your career stronger and better, that you can show up anytime and be able to overcome some of those impediments, some of those life situations that will be thrown under your bus when you're minding your business and going, here is where you can come. You can come and talk about what you're experiencing. Have we experienced it? How can we better make it work for all of us? So I ask you to join the Bridge to Freedom program, and I do look forward to your feedback. Welcome to those of you who have joined. Cannot wait to start chatting with you. Thursday, I will be joining you live, and I do hope that some of you who will maybe join us for this session will join on Thursday. So together we can start the Bridge to Freedom coaching. We'll be live coaching that we're talking to each other. And I thank you for joining the Blind Spot. The blind spot is going to be part of your life, but don't let it bog you down. There's no one that's perfect, including you and I. So once you know that, all of us are work in progress. It's just that the levels that everyone is different. What level are you on? And what do you need to do to pivot if you need to pivot, so you don't get stuck by worrying and overthinking things? Action, action. Read all about it. That's what we are about. Thank you for joining. I do hope to see you again on Thursday. And I thank you for your time, for being part of this. For those who would listen and watch this later, we welcome your feedback, and we invite you to be a guest on the show. Thank you so much, and take care. Blessings. Happy Thanksgiving if you are in the United States of America. Take care.